Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we continue reading Kitab al Sabr wa Shukr from Imam Ghazali's Ihya Ulumuddin. So he's teaching us like how one can train himself to have patience. And he said that patience is making the religious motivation triumphant over hedonistic, nefsani motivation. So these two motivations or these two drives conflict within the heart. So on the one hand, you have this nefsani, hedonistic, excessive drives, and on the other hand, you have religious drive. So religious drive tells you to obey Allah Ta'ala, not to get involved in anything unlawful and haram. But the nefsani, hedonistic drive tells you, go after your desires without accepting any limits. So patience comes in, you resist, the hedonistic drive, and you make the religious drive triumphant over the hedonistic drive. So this is the definition of sabr according to Imam Ghazali, and I like this definition. It's a very deep definition based on a very deep psychological analysis of inner world of a human being and also inner conflicts. So والثاني أن يعود هذا الباعث مسارعة باعث الهوى تدريجا قليلا قليلا حتى يدرك لذة الظفر بها فيستجري عليها. So either like you go ahead and defeat the hedonistic drive instantly, but sometimes it's not easy, so you have to do it gradually. So this method, Imam Ghazali is suggesting that you slowly teach the religious drive to resist against the hedonistic drive, but you do this gradually, tadrijan. Let's say sometimes people are addicted to certain bad habits. If you want to change it immediately, they cannot do it. So it's too difficult, but they can do it slowly. So gradually reducing it, they can do it. But this also requires musara'a. Musara'a means wrestling, struggling. So Ba'ith al-Din wrestles, struggles with Ba'ith al-Hawa, but without trying to make knockout. Just slowly, gaining some scores against it, like reducing the demands slowly. For instance, I was addicted to drinking tea with 2 cubes of sugar. So first I reduced to 1 sugar, then half sugar, then quarter sugar, and eventually I dropped it completely. But if I wanted to do it at once, maybe I was going to fail. So this tadrij, tadrij في التربية, tadrij في التدريب, قليلا قليلا, slowly, حتى يدرك لذة الظفر بها. So the Ba'ith al-Din taste the triumph over Ba'ith al-Hawa. So he achieves small goals. Let's say you don't want to eliminate 100%. You want to eliminate 10%, and you put the goal of reducing 10%. So when this 10% is achieved, you feel a sense of achievement. Okay, I did it. I managed it. I am successful to it. So this is a real pedagogy. Mashallah. So the human being gets the pleasure of achieving something and subduing nafs, but only with a limited way. فيستجري عليها. This gives courage to it. This makes it more self-confident against nafs. So this is how he gains self-confidence, that I can, fight against my nafs and I can defeat it. وتقوى منته في مصارعتها, and his self-esteem, and his energy, his motivation gets stronger, in the fight against the nafs. فإن الاعتياد والممارسة للأعمال الشاقة تؤكد القوى التي تصدر منها تلك الأعمال. And he is now going to a deeper psychological analysis. He says that فإن الاعتياد, getting used to something or the habits, الممارسة, and continuously practicing something. So these addictions and habits, للأعمال الشاقة, for difficult actions, تؤكد القوى التي تصدر منها تلك الأعمال. They strengthen, they empower, or they increase the power of the drives behind them. So there are certain actions that they are difficult to do, but there are drives behind them, motivations behind them, which pushes a person to do those difficult actions. Okay. ولذلك تزيد قوة الحمالين والفلاحين والمقاتلين وبالجملة فقوة الممارسين للأعمال الشاقة تزيد على قوة الخياطين والعطارين والفقهاء والصالحين، وذلك لأن قواهم لم تتأكد بالممارسة. So here there is a multiplex analysis of the action. So there is a quwa, there's a power, the inner power, making people act in a particular way. And if you continue acting in this particular way, the drive behind this action gets more powerful. So there's a circular relationship. This internal power makes you act in a particular way. When you act in a particular way, it reinforces the drive behind it. So this is the reason why the power of the porters, the farmers, and the warriors increases, and then he arrives to a general rule that فقوة الممارسين للأعمال الشاقة تزيد على so those who practice persistently, continuously difficult tasks, their power increases, and their power become more than the power of the tailors, al-khayyatin, wal-attarin, the perfume sellers, wal-fuqaha, religious scholars, was-salihin, and the Sufis. Their power are more than these people. Why? Because they keep practicing difficult tasks. وذلك لأن قواهم لم تتأكد بالممارسة, because the powers of those religious scholars, the Sufis, the perfume sellers, are not supported, are not strengthened by constant practice. So constant practice makes the drive behind your actions more powerful. فالعلاج الأول يضاهي إطماع المصارع في الخلعة عند الغلبة ووعده بأنواع الكرامة. كما وعد فرعون سحرته عند إغرائه إياهم بموسى عليه السلام حيث قال وإنكم إذن لمن المقربين. So the first method which he described above, remembering the rewards Allah Ta'ala will give you if you have patience, like paradise and compensation for the things that you leave, for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. So this method, yudahi, it's similar or it's comparable. إطماع المصارع في الخلعة عند الغلبة. The making the wrestler wish to gain the khil'ah, the medal or the dress of the winner. So they used to give in the past, the winning wrestler a khil'ah, a nice dress, with gold and everything on it. So you make the wrestler, okay, when you defeat the other person, you will gain the khil'ah. You will gain this nice gown of the winner, the winner's gown. You will gain this. So you motivate him to desire to get this one. So the first method is similar to this. وَوَعَدَهُ بِأَنْوَاعِ الْكَرَامَةِ. And also that you will be honored, you will be respected, you will be popular, different kinds of dignity, honor, prestige you will gain after you defeat the other person. So motivating, the wrestler like this by reminding him the rewards of defeating the other side. كما وعد فرعون سحرته عند إغرائه إياهم بموسى عليه السلام. This is comparable to the way Pharaoh tempted his magicians by promising them some rewards. This how he was trying to tempt them, to fight against Musa alayhi salam and to defeat Musa alayhi salam, because there are rewards afterwards. حيث قال, as he said, وَإِنَّكُمْ إِذًا لَمِنَ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ. So if you defeat Musa alayhi salam, then you will be intimate, close to me. And when you become close to the ruler, you get lots of benefits from being close to the ruler. So this is how he was trying to motivate them in the fight. So the first method Imam Ghazali described above is similar to this one. والثاني, the second method, which is the tadriji, the gradual method, ta'weed as-sabi. This is similar to making a small child gain a habit, get accustomed to do something. Okay. الذي يراد منه المصارعة والمقاتلة بمباشرة أسباب ذلك منذ الصبا حتى يأنس به. So suppose that there's a child and you want this child to be a wrestler in the future or a fighter in the future. So slowly, you educate this small child, you train him the way that he becomes familiar with fighting, with wrestling, and gradually gains more and more power and strength. ويستجري عليه, this way he becomes more courageous. وتقوى فيه منته, and he gains more self-confidence in the situation of fight and war. فمن ترك بالكلية المجاهدة بالصبر ضعف فيه بعث الدين. So if someone completely leaves aside the struggle against nafs by showing perseverance, forbearance, patience. If someone doesn't show any sabr, just gives up, puts sabr on the side, ضعف فيه بعث الدين. The religious drive gets weaker in him. So even if one gets defeated at the end, one should struggle. So even this small struggle against nafs, against shaitan, this strengthens the religious drive within one, but not resisting at all, just surrendering easily and immediately to nafs. This will weaken one's religious drive. ولا يقوى على الشهوة وإن ضعفت. So this kind of the person would have a religious drive that's not strong, against the shahwa drive or the hedonistic drive. Even the shahwa drive is very weak because he's not struggling against nafs, just surrendering to it without any conflict, without showing any patience. ومن عود نفسه مخالفة الهوى غلبها مهما أراد. But if someone makes his nafs get accustomed to oppose hedonistic desires, to oppose al-hawa, so if the nafs is trained, to oppose al-hawa, غلبها مهما أراد. So that person can defeat al-hawa because he's accustomed to struggle against nafs mahma arada, whenever he wants, because this person is accustomed to struggle against nafs. So فهذا منهاج العلاج في جميع أنواع الصبر. So that kind of training, which is gradual and continuous, and even in a case when one will be defeated at the end, still shows some struggle, without giving up easily. So this method, he says, is the medication in all kinds of sabr, all kinds of sabr. ولا يمكن استيفاؤه. So it cannot be contained, to a particular type of sabr. Like every kind of sabr requires that kind of training, that kind of method. وإنما أشدها كف الباطن عن حديث النفس. But the most difficult issue to exercise sabr is stopping the inner speech. That's the most difficult thing. So one cannot, easily show sabr to stop inner speech and to silence that inner speech, because inside of us, this inner speech always going on. This, hadith al-nafs. One cannot really stop this. It's very difficult, and this is the place where sabr is the most difficult thing to exercise, to practice. Silence this evil inner speech inside of a person. وإنما يشتد ذلك على من تفرغ له. Just the opposite. If you focus on silencing the inner speech, it gets stronger, it increases. So there is a strategy, for silencing the inner speech. Rather than trying to silence the inner speech, you make your inner self busy with something nicer, with something good. So you change the topic rather than trying to stop that speech. So let's say your inner speech tells you to think about X. So if you tell your nafs, don't think about X, stop it. It's not going to do it. Instead, it will be even more strong. But if you say your nafs, think about A, change the topic. Then when you start thinking about A, the topic X will be forgotten. So that's the strategy for it. So it's very difficult to stop the inner speech, but the strategy is not to make iltifat and change to something else. So let's say when you are making zikr, this inner speech comes and tells you many things, like past, future, all the questions, everything you need to do, like shower. This is called khawatir, this hadith al-nafs. So if you try to stop them, you will never be able to do it. But if you focus more on your dhikr, then they will disappear. Okay? So briefly put, you don't tell to your nafs, don't do. Instead, you come up with an alternative and tell your nafs, do this instead of that one. So this is the best strategy to change the inner voice, the inner speech. بأن قمع الشهوات الظاهرة والباطنة كلها. And also, the most difficult thing is to uproot, completely clean all the hedonistic desires inside and outside. That's the most difficult thing. One can never easily do something like this. And the patience against all ash-shahawat az-zahira and batina is very difficult. وآثر العزلة وجلس للمراقبة والذكر والفكر. So in order to do these things, preferring seclusion and also sitting to make more muraqabah. Muraqabah means thinking that you are in the presence of Allah Ta'ala, and dhikr, remembering Allah Ta'ala, and fikr, deliberation, contemplation about Allah Ta'ala and the hereafter. فإن الوسواس لا يزال يجاذبه من جانب إلى جانب. So even when you do these things, you will not be able to stop hadith al-nafs. You will not be able to make qama', completely uproot all the ash-shahawat al-zahira wal-batina. So even if you go to seclusion, even if you sit, to make zikr, fikr, etc., no, it's not easy. فإن الوسواس لا يزال يجاذبه من جانب إلى جانب. Because the waswas, the whisperer, the shaitan, will approach that person from this side, from that side, from that side, from different directions. Come from right, come from left, come from behind, from different directions. Shaitan will try to approach and derail him, distract him from his zikr. Even if he's in seclusion, even if he's sitting to make zikr. وهذا لا علاج له البتة. For this kind of problem, there is no solution for it. Completely stopping hadith al-nafs and completely uprooting ash-shahawat al-zahira wal-batina, there is no medication for it except قطع العلائق كلها ظاهرا وباطنا, cutting the attachments, terminating the attachments completely, inside and outside. So if these attachments are cut, are terminated, then you can silence hadith al-nafs. you can uproot الشهوات الظاهرة والباطنة. But how are you going to make قطع العلائق? How are you going to terminate all these attachments? What's the way for it? You see, he's going deeper and deeper. So you need to go deeper. Then what's the deeper thing? بالفرار عن الأهل والولد والمال والجاه والرفقاء والأصدقاء والاعتزال إلى زاوية بعد إحراز قدر يسير من القوت وبعد القناعة به. So he says that the method, to uproot all the attachments to the world is to escape from family members, from children, from belongings, from popularity, from friends, from colleagues, and seclusion in a zawiya, in a monastery, in a zawiya, بعد إحراز قدر يسير من القوت, after preparing very small food, very small amount of food, وبعد القناعة به, and being content with this small amount of food. So this is the method of riyada. This is the method of riyada, and this method is adopted by Al-Ghazali and his school. But then there is another method, which is the method of zikr, which is adopted by the Naqshbandis. So this method advises al-khalwa, al-riyada, like going to the zawiya and leaving everything. The other method, the method of zikr, which is accepted and practiced by the Naqshbandis, it is you make zawiya in your heart. Al-khalwa fil jalwa, or it's called khalwa dar anjuman. Being alone while you are in society, solitude with God while you are in society. So you make your heart secluded, but your body in society. So you have the heart of a monk, which is in a monastery, but you are active in society. Okay, so that's the Naqshbandi method, which is called dhikr method. And this is the Imam Ghazali method, which is called riyada method. So these are two method in tasawwuf, in tazkiyatun nafs. So one is the method of the al-khalwa, the other is the method of khalwa dar anjuman, or al-khalwa fil jalwa, solitude within society. Okay. ثم كل ذلك لا يكفي ما لم تصر الهموم هما واحدا. But even this is not enough. Even this is not sufficient. Like he says, you need sabr to silence hadith al-nafs. You need sabr to completely clean yourself from shahawat. But this is not possible only by cutting or terminating the passions in one's heart. And terminating the passions in the heart requires that you leave society, go into seclusion. But even going into seclusion is not enough. What else you need? You need to make all your thoughts gather together around one point. Make all your concerns only one concern. Make your attention concentrated on a single point. What is this single point you concentrate on? And you leave all distractions. You don't pay any attention to anything else. Just concentrate on a single point. So he says, even if you leave your society, leave your family, leave your money, leave your friends, go into seclusion, you have very little food and you are content with this food, even this is not enough. You need to do something else. See, he's going deeper and deeper, this multiplex approach. You need to do something which is very important. Concentrate, bring all your energy, bring all your attention to a single point and make hamman wahidan. What is this single point? Huwa Allah Ta'ala. It is Allah Ta'ala. Bring all your attention on thinking about Allah Ta'ala, and leaving aside all other ideas, concerns as distractions. So if you don't do this, even if you are in the monastery, in a Sufi Zawiya, there is no use, there is no benefit. So that's the important thing. So the Naqshbandis, they say, you can do this without going to monastery. You can do this without going to seclusion. You can do this while you are in the society. But those who defend the Riyada method, they say, no, you cannot do this in society. You need to go away to seclusion. So, I mean, the question is whether, you can concentrate on Allah Ta'ala while you are active in society or not. So some people can do it. They can concentrate on the zikr of Allah Ta'ala. They can bring all their concentration thinking about Allah Ta'ala while they are carrying on their work in society. But some people cannot do it. They need to leave society to be able to train themselves for this purpose. ثم إذا غلب ذلك على القلب, and when this state of complete concentration become the dominant in the heart, فلا يكفي ذلك. Even this is not enough. Subhanallah. This is a very difficult journey, very difficult training. Even this is not enough. What else I need to do? فلا يكفي ذلك ما لم يكن له مجال في الفكر وسير في الباطن في ملكوت السماوات والأرض وعجائب صنع الله تعالى وسائر أبواب معرفة الله تعالى حتى إذا استولى ذلك على قلبه دفع اشتغاله بذلك محادثة الشيطان ووسواسه. Okay, so so you concentrate completely and exclusively on Allah Ta'ala, and this is not enough, he says. This should be coupled with contemplation, fikr, وسير في الباطن, and the spiritual journey, the inner journey, في ملكوت السماوات والأرض, contemplation about the greatness of the samawat wal-ard wa-ajayib sun'illah ta'ala, and also thinking about the creation, the art of Allah ta'ala, wa-sair abwab ma'rifatillah ta'ala, and also thinking about other gates which will lead you to the knowledge of Allah ta'ala. So you think about the creation of Allah Ta'ala, حتى إذا استولى ذلك على قلبه, when thinking about the glory of the creation of Allah Ta'ala and the knowledge, ma'rifatullah, prevails over your heart, only by then دفع اشتغاله بذلك محادثة الشيطان ووسواسه. Only by then the inner speech, that comes from shaitan and from his whispers will be will go away from him. So here again, there's a difference between the tariqatul zikr and tariqatul riyada. In the tariqatul zikr, you concentrate on Allah Ta'ala and you forget ma siwa. You don't think about malakutu samawati wal ardi wa sun'allahi or other things. Just think about Allah Ta'ala. And this is the method of من المؤثر إلى الأثر. Think about Allah Ta'ala. That's it. That He exists. ولا شيء مثله. ليس كمثله شيء. Just think about that. He exists and ليس كمثله شيء. That's it. And everything else, even the paradise, even samawat, even alam al-ghayb, كله ما سوى. They're other than Allah Ta'ala. Why bother with them? Forget them. Just concentrate on Allah Ta'ala. But Imam Ghazali's method is من الأثر إلى المؤثر. Think about the creation, think about the malakut, think about the Sun Allah Ta'ala, samawat, ard. This is athar. So you move from athar to mu'athir, to Allah Ta'ala. This is another method that contemplating about the glory of the creation of Allah Ta'ala, so that you reach to the creator. You better understand the creator. So from creation to the creator, from art to artist. But the Naqshbandi method, the method of dhikr, you start with the artist, the creator, and then later come to the creation. So these are two schools of thought in tasawwuf. So this method Imam Ghazali describes here. This is called طريقة الحكماء. طريقة الحكماء. And the method Naqshbandis adopt is called طريقة الذكر. وإن لم يكن له سير في الباطن فلا ينجيه إلا الأوراد المتواصلة المرتبة في كل لحظة. So if there is no thinking inside, no contemplation inside, nothing will save him except constant and planned wird. In every moment. This zikr method. This is zikr method. من القراءة والأذكار والصلوات. So constantly making zikr of Allah Ta'ala. ويحتاج مع ذلك إلى تكليف القلب الحضور. So even then he needs to force his heart to al-hudur billah, thinking about thinking that he's in the presence of Allah Ta'ala. So this is the method of zikr. One should say, I am in the presence of Allah Ta'ala, I am in the al-hudur billah, and constant zikr. But this is inner zikr. Al-zikr al-qalbi, al-zikr al-khafi, al-zikr al-sirri, inside. فإن الفكر بالباطن هو الذي يستغرق القلب دون الأوراد الظاهرة. So he says that the contemplation in the heart, this is what prevails on the heart, not the verbal zikr, not al-awrad al-zahira, the verbal zikr by tongue. So the zikr by tongue is not going to prevail over the heart, change the heart, purify the heart. What will work is al-fikr al-batin, al-hudur, al-dhikr. But this should be al-mutawasil, constant, al-murattaba fi kull lahza, and every moment, every second. This is what's called in the Naqshbandiyya wukufu zamani. And wukufu zamani means not giving even one breath in ghaflet. Even one breath in ghaflet. So a breath in ghaflet is a loss. This is a great level. So may Allah bless us with this kind of awareness and dhikr and al-hudur billah. So ثم إذا فعل ذلك لم يسلم له من الأوقات إلا بعضها. So even if he does this, he's not secure from the waswas all the time. He's secure only sometimes, not all the time, because it's not easy to be safe and secure, completely away from waswas, completely away from hadith al-nafs, completely away from الشهوات الظاهرة والباطنة إذ لا يخلو في جميع أوقاته عن حوادث تتجدد because he cannot be away from repeated inner talks, inner speeches فتشغله عن الفكر والذكر, and this inner speech that occasionally comes and takes him away from zikr and fikr من مرض وخوف, like وإذاء من إنسان, like sometimes an illness comes and takes away from zikr, sometimes a worry, a fear comes and takes away him from zikr. وإذاء من الإنسان, sometimes somebody disturbs him, wrongs him, this takes him away from remembrance of Allah Ta'ala. وَتُوْيَانٍ مِّن مُخَالِطٍ, or his friends, people he's associating with commit a sin, then this takes him away from zikr of Allah Ta'ala. إِذْ لَا يَسْتَغْنِي عَنْ مُخَالَطَةِ مَنْ يُعِينُهُ في بعض أسباب المعيشة, because no one can be free from socializing with people who are helping him in taking care of some of the mundane livelihood issues. So like you socialize with them, and then while you're interacting with them, they commit a sin or they wrong you, they scare you, like all these things may take you away from the constant zikr of Allah Ta'ala. So it's not easy, to make it constant and not affected from these kind of situations. This constant immunity from ghafla, constant immunity from getting out of the track, is not easy, he's saying. So even if you reach like a constant muraqabah and inner deliberation, etc., sometimes they will be disrupted, by this khawf, idha, tuyan, al-mukhalit, etc. وهذا أحد الأنواع الشاغلة. So, these things, they are what preoccupies. These things, they are like one of the kinds that keeps one's heart sometimes busy, preoccupied. So not easy to be freed from. So you see that there is a very deep analysis of inner life of a human being, a very deep analysis of the psychology and the spirituality and their consequences as actions. So very deep analysis. So maybe we should stop here because he's going to start a new topic. It may be a good idea for us to stop here and to continue next week, inshallah ta'ala, if Allah ta'ala gives us life and good health. Inshallah, jazakumullah khairan, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Is there anyone who has any question? Any questions? Okay, it seems everything is very clear. Jazakumullah khairan, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you very much, Hojam.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Take care.
Inshallah.
بارك الله فيك.